Hello everyone and welcome to the series of Christmas tutorials with La La Land Crafts. I'm really happy to share with you a tutorial for the day 9. What we will be creating is here on my table. It's a gift box with a surprise inside. There are sweet treats and some cute little cards with the most adorable bears from the new set by La La Land Crafts. All the links to the products that I'm using in this tutorial will be listed in the description box down below. So if you like this box and you want to create one together with me, please keep on watching this video and let's do this together. All of the tools that I will be using throughout the tutorial will be listed in the post on my blog, as well as in the post over the La La Land Crafts blog. But to start with, we will need the scoreboard, score tape, scissors, a pencil, and a ruler. To create the base of our box, we will need a piece of cardstock measuring 8 inches by 8 inches. It's a square piece, and you will score it at 1.5 inch on all the 4 sides. So 1.5, rotate, 1.5, and so on the 4 sides of this piece. Then I also prepared a piece of cardstock which is 4 7/8 by 4 7/8, and this will go to the middle section of our box's bottom. We will glue it down later. Let's move on. For the lid, you will need a piece of cardstock measuring 7 1/8 by 7 1/8. And you will score this piece at 1 inch on 4 sides. 1 inch 4 times. That's it. And to reinforce the lid, you will also need a piece of cardstock measuring 5 inches by 5 inches. For the divider that will go inside the box, you will need a strip of cardstock measuring 2 inches by 8 inches, and you will score it on the short side at 1.5, and then on the long side at 1/2 inch, 4 inches, and 7.5. So that will be all the scoring that we have to do to create our box. Let's move on to some cutting that we have to do right now. So let's actually start with the divider here, since I already have it on my table. Okay, so first I will fold it in the center and of course burnish. Then I will fold the flaps on the sides to create this shape. Okay, and then you will have to fold that long flap like so. And it will make more sense once we make some cuts on this piece so that it will all come together. So I'm mitering this corner a little bit up to the score line. I do the same here on this flap on the right and on the bottom of that short flap on the side. Okay, then I cut out a little triangle, and once again I cut up to the score line here in that middle section, and I cut off that corner piece on the right and miter the corner of the little flap on the right at the top of it. Okay, so basically that's the shape that we're going to get once we are done. and it will be glued down to the base of our box like that. But we will get back to this divider later. Let's put it to the side and move to the base of the box. So we already scored it. I want you now to flip it to the back side. That will be the inner side of the box, and take that piece of paper for the reinforcement. I remind you that it is 4 7/8 by 4 7/8. Then I will actually use my wet glue, because for me it will just be faster. But you can use the scored tape or the ATG gun to glue this piece down in the center of our square piece. You will notice that it's a little bit smaller than your middle area of the whole square, and that is okay. We just don't want it to fold together with the sides of the box, so that's why it is slightly smaller. Okay, so I reinforced the score lines right now. Then I will flip it to the front, and I will have to make some cuts here as well. So what I'm doing is I'm starting from the bottom left corner, and I'm cutting from the bottom up to the score line, and then I'm trimming that little section off on the square piece on my bottom left. Then I will rotate my cardstock like so, and once again do the very same thing from the bottom of the cardstock piece up to the score line, and then at an angle I'm cutting off a triangular section. Do the same here, and basically do that same procedure 4 times to get this shape. Okay, great. Now, if we are already working on the base of our box, I have prepared, this is the paper that I will use on the side panels of my box, and I made those using the stencil from Lala & Crafts. It's called On the Wall. What I'll do, once the base of the box is flat, it will be real easy to glue all the paper layers down. So that's exactly what I will be doing right now. So you will position them, these paper pieces, right here on all 4 sides. And what I didn't tell you is the measurement for each one of those pieces. So it's 1 1/4 by 4 3/4. I'm done with this step. Let's flip it over and move on. So you will next need a piece of designer paper of your choice, and the paper that I'm using here is from the new Lala & Crafts collection, which is called Home for Christmas. That's the paper of my choice for this project. So you will need a piece that measures 4 7/8 by 4 7/8, and we will use it for matting the bottom of our box, and we will have to cut it into 2 parts because we don't want those flaps to show. We will take this piece and we will draw a 3.5 inch square. In my case, the divider will be attached to the side panels and to the bottom of the box like this. So I will have the 3.5-inch square on this side of the paper if I'm looking at it from the front. So if I need to draw some guidelines, I will flip this paper to the back and draw the guidelines here, so that when I cut my square, it will be this section of the paper. Okay, so I just used my ruler and the pencil to create some guidelines, and here I have the guidelines for cutting out a 3.5 by 3.5 inch square. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm cutting it out. Perfect. So I will glue it down, aligning it with the borders of that reinforcement paper piece that we glued down to the bottom of the box earlier, right on top of it. And I'm using the reinforcement paper piece as my guide, as per where exactly I need to position this piece of paper. Okay, and now while the glue is drying, let's take the score tape and apply some of it to our flaps here. I hope it's needless to say that I'm applying them right up to the score line without overlapping it. Okay, great. And let's apply some to our little flaps here. So here and here and here and also here. Next, I will do this. I will remove the backing from the long flaps of the divider, and I will use the square now as my guide, but I will take it a little bit further than the edge of the designer paper piece, because I needed to reach the side panel and to reach the fold of the box. So I will even hold this one panel with my hand, and then I will look at this side of the square and I will glue that flap down. Okay, and then I will lift this panel of the box and I will do the same. I will just make sure that I have the divider straight. Okay, and I will once again glue the flap and burnish it. Okay, so this piece now is attached to the bottom of our box. Let's get back to this piece. That's the time for us to take it and glue it down. It looks way better when the flaps are covered, right? Let's now remove the backing off our tape in there, and I'm looking now at this section here, and I just want to make sure that once I glue this flap down, it goes straight. And now I will be looking at this corner. It needs to be a straight corner of 90 degrees over there. Well, like that. Okay, now let's remove the backing from the score tape on the square flaps and start to form the corners of our box. making sure that it looks nice here. And then don't forget to burnish. And just form each one of the 4 corners. Okay, so here I think we need to trim the flap just a little bit because we can't otherwise seal it closed nicely. So I trimmed just a little piece off that flap. Now for the remaining 2 flaps, I think it's better to take the backing off of both of them simultaneously and then to form one corner and the second corner and then burnish. And that's how easy the base of our box is ready. To make it easier for the cards to be pulled out, it would be a nice thing to add a ribbon here to the bottom of the square compartment. So for doing that, I will use a piece of ribbon which is about 8 inches long. And as you can see, to prevent the edge of the ribbon from fraying, I just sealed it in between 2 little circles. And to glue that down to the box, I will use a piece of that same designer paper. If you want to do it better than me, like do as I say, not as I do, right? So just tuck this ribbon behind the square piece before you glue it down to the bottom of the box. The same steps that we did for the box's base, we will do for the lid. And I will take the reinforcement piece of paper, and it is 5 inches by 5 inches. I will glue it down to the back of my 7 1/8 by 7 1/8 piece. I will flip it to the front, and I will once again create those cuts in each one of the 4 corners of the lid. Now I have a few more pieces of the paper to cover the side panels of the box, and these measure 7/8 by 5 inches. So let me glue these down and get back to you. Here we go. And now it's time to think about the decoration of our box. And while I think, let me just apply some score tape here to these little flaps. And I'm still thinking. As a matter of fact, I created a box like this before, and I just didn't use any of the Lala & Crafts papers on that box. So I embellished it in a very simple way. You want to see it? Want to see it? Here, this was the box. And this was the inside. So, yeah, I didn't have anything elaborate here on the front of that box. So right now I'm thinking how I want to do that. So I think I will have this paper piece down here, and I will use some of the diagonal pockets from Lala & Crafts for creating a pocket on the front of my lid for this box. Okay, so what I have is 2 die cut diagonal pockets. You will take one of them and you will trim the little flap on the side of both of the pockets. You will glue this flap to the back of the designer paper that you will use on the front of your box. And this paper piece measures 5 by 5 inches. Let's make sure. Yeah, 5 by 5 inches. So I will be gluing one of the pockets to the left hand side or the right hand side first, whatever is more comfortable for you. Okay, so one of the pockets is glued down. Then I will take the second pocket and let me trim this here nicer. Okay, so I will do the same with this pocket, but besides adding glue to the flaps, I will also add some glue to this area here. And then I will once again mount it to my cardstock piece. Like so. And they will also be glued down here in the middle. And this will create one pocket on the front of our box. This is actually a trick that I learned from Martha. Thank you, Martha. I have now the matting pieces here. I will go ahead and glue them down. Now I think we are ready to glue this whole thing to the center of our lid. Okay, now we can reinforce the folds. I like to assemble each corner separately, making sure that I have all the corners straight. This is the lid for our box. I will have a little insert here for the pocket. The measurements for these two papers are, the craft cardstock here is 4 by 4.5, and the designer paper piece is 3 7/8 by 4 3/8. So let me glue this piece down. Here we go. So I haven't decided which dies I will use on the front of my box yet, but I know that I'm going to use the Winter Bears set. These are the new bears that were released this November. So I will use them for my project. And 3 of them I have already colored and glued down to these little mini cards that will go inside the box, inside that compartment that we have created before. So each one of the cards, the base craft cardstock piece measures 6 3/4 by 3 3/8. And on the long side, it is scored at 3 3/8. I'm folding it in half to get a square little card. So I also matted the inside of the card because I want to be able to write there something. So the white cardstock pieces are 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So these will be 3 cards that will go to the inside of the box. And once again, of course, you can make even more if you have a certain idea for a series of cards that you want to put inside that box. By all means, go ahead and do that. I will have 3 for now, and then the candies will be placed in this section here. So let's get back to the front of the box. I think I will use this bear here. I also have a pair of ski. Then I have also die cut the new large poinsettia. I used the shimmering gold cardstock from Lala & Crafts. I will shape the flower now. I will use a bowl tool and a soft surface. So I'm flipping it to the back, the flower, and then I'm running the bowl tool over each one of the petals, and then I flip it to the front and just press in the middle. And it's all fluffy and puffy, and I really like how it looks now. So let's assemble it. Let's just glue all the petals down. I have to apologize, guys, because this die, the snow globe die, is a retired one and it's no longer in stock. But I just really want to use it on this box. I think that what you can use instead of it, I just want to have a shaker here on this insert. And to have the shaker, that's why I decided actually to use this die. But you can also create the round shaker using the double stitched and the plain stitched circle dies from Lala & Crafts. I just need to have this globe here on the front because I know that the person for whom this box is intended will love it. If you own this die, if you bought it previously, that's great. If you don't have it, you can just create any shape of the shaker that you feel will fit better for this box and for the way you designed it. But I will be using this snow globe, and what I did, I just cut it a few times. To be exact, I think I cut it 4 times using the lightweight chipboard, which is available in the Lala & Crafts store, and you will find the link to it in the description box down below. So I cut 4 layers of that globe, and then for the back of the circle piece, I used the double stitched circles from Lala & Crafts, and then I just glued all of the layers together. I also cut out an acetate circle for the shaker, and then I cut another layer of that snow globe using the designer paper. So now I'm assembling that shaker piece. Yeah, so it will go into that pocket over there. And then besides the pieces that I already have layered on the box, I want to add the word Merry. It was a die cut from the Stitched Merry. So I think I want to add it right here on top of the globe. Okay, so the letters are glued down now. I also glued down the little bear, making sure that I'm not gluing the head of the bear from the back, because the insert needs to go inside that pocket. And I added a little sequin in the front of that poinsettia die. And as a matter of fact, I also added a very simple, like white, plain pocket for a gift card on the back of the insert. So what's left is only to add some candy here. And it's really easy to pull the cards out. It's a unique handmade gift. So I hope you enjoyed that tutorial and you will give it a try. If you have any questions, guys, please ask them in the comments down below, and I will make sure that I get back to you with the answers. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.